Hey, you came to this video for how to hide a tree stand, and people say, what do you mean tree stand? They don't stick out very much. But just like trail cameras and certainly like deer blinds, you have to hide your tree stands. And I think people have a misunderstanding of what hiding actually is when it comes to a tree stand. Yeah, there's the act of hiding it in the tree. You know, that's really critical. But I want to be able to get to that stand and away from that stand without spooking deer too. So it's not just the tree stand itself, it's how are you hiding your access getting in and out. In this case, we have a huge hedgerow of trees we've cut to, create shooting lanes to get in there. And you can see with that, we have a bunch of bushes growing. We have switchgrass on the back side. And this is the way it is with several of our stands around the property. The one I shot bow on last year is the same thing. That stand right here to the platform, I believe, is right around 12 feet, 13 feet. The stand I shot bow out of is a 12-foot stick, and I'm a foot down from the top, so it's 11 feet. So we have the act of actually screening your access coming in and out. That's critical. The height. So many people think that higher is better when it comes to a tree stand. And obviously, if you're 40 feet up in a giant spruce, deer probably aren't going to look at you, but it's unsafe. I wouldn't ever encourage people to go that high, and I've seen that on client properties. I've seen a stand that's 45 feet high. Dylan's shaking his head right now. What's the highest you think you've seen? I've verified 45 feet on a spruce in the middle of a swamp.
Their last name is escaping me, but this awesome family that I went and visited last year had easily a 40-foot stand, and there was no safety ropes or anything up in this, I think it was a big black walnut, and I'm like, you guys don't actually hunt up there, right? And they're like, oh yeah, that's our best stand. I'm like, please rethink that one, because I don't want to see anybody
scary.
falling out of that one.
Yeah, and it's unnecessary. And so one of the things that people say as far as tree stand height goes, that you want to get above the wind, above the scent, and the higher is going to be better. Well, we don't hunt this with our scent blowing down into this area anyways. This is what we're watching. It goes left to right through here. We're blowing our scent out that way where there's no deer. So it doesn't matter as far as height, because we're never allowing our height to dictate that, well, we're a certain height so the deer aren't going to smell us. That's just rubbish. Yeah, it might work here and there, but it's never going to work all the time. So we want to have plans that don't have any holes in it. We can't afford it works some of the time, or part of the time, or a fraction of the time. We need to work 100% of the time. Meaning if we're blowing our scent back there, yeah, if deer are downwind of us, they shouldn't be back there anyways, but all plans are right here moving back and forth. So the height, a lot of times when you take that stand, you get it out of the cover. In this case, when the deer are looking up, we're sitting right on top of the cover. We're in that hole right there. If we go up any further in that cedar tree, we have to take those limbs out. Now we're sitting against a bare trunk and we're skylit. Right there, we just fill a gap in the tree. It's all dark, it's all red cedar. We get up there, we sit in that hole, and beautiful. We can hide and blend right in. If we sit in that cherry tree next to us for a little bit bigger, maybe we could get up on the trunk another 8-10 feet. Well, those cherry leaves drop immediately in the fall and we're right out in the open. So higher is not necessarily better. If we go any lower, then we're shooting through brush. We keep having to make these shooting lanes. I want to be just at the top. That applies to a lot of our best hidden redneck blinds, where they're just above the brush or in the brush, and the windows are just above the brush. So they blend into that top. It's very, very critical. So we need to be able to get in and out of that stand. We need, our height is really critical, meaning that you want to never go out of your cover. So it doesn't matter if your perfect height you think is 18, 22 feet, right around there, 18 to 22 feet. If 13 feet puts you in the better amount of cover, then that's where you should be. Now third, how to hide a tree stand. You have the access in and out. You have the height of the stand, making sure you're not getting out of the height or out of the cover when you place your height. But at the same time, I want that stand to actually be against the tree. So in a case like this, when we're low to the ground, our back is into the tree, we're a part of the tree. If I'm hanging back like this, in that case a saddle, I'd be out on either side. Maybe I could sit on the back side and shoot around it, but it doesn't give me that mobility. We can't afford to move that much. I want to be able to sit, if you're right-handed, you face your stand this way, and the shot is right here, in this range, all back and forth. I can cover this whole shot sequence by barely moving. The bow hangs right in front of my face. I can pull back and shoot anywhere I want to. So you can't afford much movement. So part of hiding your stand is you and where you're positioned in the tree to make sure you blend actually in. We can't be out to the side. Imagine if I was out to the side of that right there, and you just see the silhouette of a man out away from that tree. So in this case, you have to be against the tree and you can barely move. We've never had a deer look at us up there. They could care less of what they're there, that we're there, and that's really literally only about 13 feet high. It's basically a family traditions ladder stand without the 40-inch extension in it, which is what we typically use, but it doesn't have it in there because if we used it, it gets us into thin branches, thin trunk. It'd be a lot more wavy up there. And then finally, sorry for interrupting, we'll be right back, but it's getting close to fall planting season. We have some of our favorite blends, some newer blends, Big Boost 365. We have our Power Greens 365. Those have the perennial base. We're actually planting some of that here. Big Boost, Fall Power Greens, those are some of our favorites, our all-time sellers. We're actually taking this strip of clover right here. We're gonna make that a perennial back up there. We're gonna terminate this buckwheat. We'll plant into it in the coming weeks, and then we're gonna hunt right behind me. Mock scrape right there. We're all set up. I hope you are too. Check out Pure Wildlife Blends. Now back to the video. And then finally, you want to make sure you're not above the cover. You want to make sure you access it. You want to make sure your seated position blends into the tree. You're not away from that tree. You can shoot sitting down. That's a big part of it. But then finally, we can't afford to have just, and I saw this in the UP of Michigan, where someone's in a stand like that and they're hunting a bait pile. They're hunting a water hole, and the water hole is only 15 feet away, where deer come and congregate and they eventually pick you out. Here, this is a movement through a food plot that's over 100 yards long. It's a thin strip. Deer are moving back and forth. They're never just right here for more than a few seconds, a minute, 2 minutes. They're just eating. If they were here, and let's say this food plot, and we're trying to get away with a short stand like that, and this food plot's just right here, just a 20th of an acre, a 10th of an acre, really small, then when they're in here feeding and we're that low to the ground, they're gonna pick us off. So the height dictates where you can sit. You know, maybe it's a water hole and it's 23 yards away. You have good cover between you and them. The deer are never going to go by you. They're simply just passing by. That might be an acceptable situation. But we're standing about 8 to 10 yards away from that stand right now. We can't afford the deer to just sit right here for a long time and eventually pick us out. So where you're watching, make sure that it's a pass-through. Deer just simply going back and forth. The diameter of the tree doesn't matter, other than you're not blowing around in there. You can get in and out is really critical. That you're not escaping and putting your height outside of your cover. Always consider those things. How do you height a tree stand? Well, it's more than just how it blends into the tree. And I could add a fifth one there. When we're climbing up that, I want to at least have, you know, that ladder stand is in front of the tree. I want to at least have half of that climb up where those deer can't see me. If I get in there and I'm fiddling around, putting my safety line on, attaching my bow to the line, and they can see me doing that really, really bad. I want to at least get halfway up the tree and I can go up really slow, make sure there's nothing out here. I'll see them before they see me, and I can get in and out safely. So those are some tips to how to hide your tree stand. It doesn't have as much to do with how to hide it as it does to actually hunt it effectively like a predator and not spook deer. Hey everyone, thank you so much for watching the video. I appreciate you watching the videos. We have over 600 articles on whitetailhabitatsolutions.com. It's all free. And I also appreciate those of you that check out our books. I have 5 books starting from 2012. We have web classes on the site, whitetailhabitatsolutions.com. Check out Pure Wildlife Blends. I really appreciate you guys that have already purchased our seed. We've had thousands of people. We've shipped to 48 states. We have digital land management through whitetailstrategy.com. That's taking all these ideas and concepts I put in the YouTube videos and digitally transforming your land for you. And then finally, we have our clients and client visits. We'll visit over 300 clients as a group this year. We visit anywhere in the country. Boots on the ground is always the best, but we have a lot of ways to help you, from free to client visits and all in between. Check us out again, whitetailhabitatsolutions.com, Pure Wildlife Blends, and whitetailstrategy.com.